Is it bull season yet? Are we finally at the point where the Bears are done? Are we finally at a run up after so long where it's been red? Multiple people have shared differing opinions about it. Leicester here at cryptotalkradio.net has been consistent in his of I say not yet. It's not that we're not close. It feels like not quite yet. But I think it's important to explain why I feel the way I feel and just to level set right up off the jump. I am not telling you what to do with your money. And ultimately, if you choose to believe others that do more technical analysis because of the technical analysis, that's great. I don't do heavy technical analysis because I've learned some of this, you can do all the technical you care to. And then there are these variables, as I've talked about on our podcast, there are these variables that get in the way. And when they get in the way, they derail what should otherwise be the momentum. In other words, we see that things should go a certain way, roughly in this period of time, and then something happens, aka a Gary Gensler, or a poof hair from Sam Bankman-Fried, or a Do Rug Pull, aka Do Kwon, or something else gets in the way of what we normally should see in momentum. Certain people then try to redefine bull. Is it as simple as we kind of ignore or are less impacted by bearish news? So if we see Gary Gensler going on his mission to attack stable coins and it doesn't negatively impact cryptocurrency, thus we must be in a bull run. This is kind of the running narrative. I'm going to share why I don't buy into this. And I think there's a little bit more to it, but I'm not going to do heavy technical analysis. I will show the graph here for Bitcoin, but I'm not going to do heavy technicals. All I'm going to focus on is I zoom to the month chart because it feels to me that the month chart gives me the greatest picture of where we're going. If I look at the month, it appears to be an upward trend graph, roughly about 10% over the past month. That's not bad, but I would not describe it as the momentum that for me as a personal opinion strikes me as a bull run. It might be, I've said, but I don't feel like it is. It feels like it's a temporary situation, likely driven by the multiple factors I talked about on the podcast, in addition to liquidations that occur on a regular basis, people stacking, people buying just because of FOMO and all these other things. So let's assume that I'm wrong. Let's assume I get it wrong and we're at the bull, right? If we're at the bull now, off of, if I look at here, 24-hour change, $400 worth of a something, that means that that's a pretty weak bull. That's a bull that's got no balls. I mean, there are tokens out there right now. BNB is a great example that blew that out of the water. So are we saying that Bitcoin by itself simply is not strong enough to do a performance to outdo the Binance Smart Chain's core coin? Is that what we're saying? Okay, let's take it a step further. Bitcoin right now is less than half. It's roughly about a third of where it peaked. Okay, so that means we have a long way to go to get back to that peak. We're not even close yet, and I'm stressing that, yet to the 30,000 mark, which would put us roughly closer to the halfway mark. Are we saying that Bitcoin is in such a weak position that it cannot reclaim even half of what it had before? Okay, I look at the movement, price movement, and to me, it feels like while there is a general bullish sentiment, as in people are buying in, I still see that there is less desire to buy into Bitcoin than there was in the past. We don't fully know exactly why that might be yet, but I think more time needs to pass in order to see the true, what I would define personally as a bull run. To me, a bull run is, I don't see anywhere near the level of hesitancy to buy into Bitcoin, and I don't see anywhere near the level of confidence to sell it. I don't see the level of strength in trading it. I don't see these factors that to me would contribute to a bull run. Whether I get that right or wrong is to be seen. I'm going to spitball this, and I'm putting it out in video so you can hold me accountable in case I get it wrong. If I get it right, why don't you come back and give my credit? But I'm putting it in. This is how reasonably confident I am as I've seen patterns. I believe that we will not yet as in yet, hit the $30,000 mark for at least minimum, at least 2 months. If we don't hit it in 2 months, I believe we might trend slightly back downward. Only because, not because of a straight reject. Like, I don't think it's at the point where we climb up to a point and then we reject. I think it's simply that there's not enough momentum upward yet. Why 2 months? In the United States, we have not, for individuals, we have not passed the tax filing season. We have not yet heard anything around tax regulation. We have not heard the responses from the IRS, or reactions rather, around what Gary Gensler is doing. We haven't seen what's going to be the fallout of the increase of traffic from the SEC around stablecoins. We haven't yet gotten a resolution on XRP. We still have all these floating garbage things around us that I think, my opinion, I think we need a couple more months to get past what would be the worst of it for the United States, at least, to see where we end up. If it turns out that the IRS leaves cryptocurrency stuff alone, and they don't try to get involved talking about capital gains and all these other things that would cause arguably the high-level institutional bearish, then I think we're poised. But something tells me that we're going to hear something that people don't want to hear, and they may drop cryptocurrency. We also have to look at the impacts on the SEC trying to go after Fidelity for allowing trading of cryptocurrencies as part of 401k portfolios. We don't know what that has an impact on. And there's a lot more people involved in this than just cryptocurrency, because people might have a 401k that just happens to have something involving cryptocurrency, whether they know it or not. Well, that's a huge shift. If something happens and they're not allowed to do it, or there's regulation limitations around it, that could be a huge problem. We don't know what the outputs of that are going to be. I'm saying that it feels, and a lot of this is sentiment, it feels like we still have too many unknowns, and people are still waiting on answers to those. People are still waiting on solid regulation. People are arguably waiting on answers around Gary Gensler's involvement with poof hair. They want to see solid outcomes, and I'm talking all the way up to institutionals, that they want to see the solid outcomes, solid answers, solid messaging, not the random out of the blue, we're just going to go after Binance USD just for the F of it, despite it being around for years without any touch, where USDC is completely ignored. Like, I think people, large and small, are just trying to get a handle around what is this thing. I don't think that people are afraid that, somebody comes boot stomping, knocking you down to take your crypto. I think there's so much uncertainty and no clarity. The other part is the banking situation. There were banks that were trying to block cryptocurrency type transactions. What happens there? It feels, again, sentiment to me, that we are largely relying on international activities to drive our decision, as in, if the Asian markets decide to pump it because they believe in it, what do? We just basically treat them like exit liquidity and we dump out, take profits. Nothing wrong with that. But what's the reason that there's so much of it? What's the reason that we don't have the same sentiments that they do? Is there something they know that we don't, or vice versa? My point is, I believe cryptocurrency will recover. I simply don't believe we're at the bull run yet. It feels like there's still this kind of iffy sentiment floating middle, and it's frustrating, right? That we don't have a firm picture of things. I would argue we're not really in a better position than we were last year for the same reasons, which is uncertainty. Well, what was the commonality of, let's say, 2022 and now? The uncertainty is the people that are in our government system and the messaging they put out that I believe, sentiment, is causing people to be hesitant in their trading strategy. And they're taking a conservative, strong conservative approach to what they do. If I'm right, that means that 2024 is poised for a stronger run, like literally nest egg explode run. I'm talking unreasonable levels of run, because we'll be positioned to get rid of a lot of those people. Getting rid of the people who have talked against cryptocurrency causes bullish sentiment as we saw prior to the current administration and those inside of it that came in and immediately started attacking cryptocurrency, immediately started attacking big oil, immediately started attacking fiat, immediately started attacking everything that allows somebody to generate institutional singular wealth for yourself. They immediately attack those things, which to me causes some hesitancy. I close with a small story. I chatted with my friend about it. He did what I did, which is he watched it, he didn't buy in, and money was a bit of a challenge for him. I was in a similar situation as this. My brother, who actually worked Pascal, and if you didn't know, certain of cryptocurrency originated using Pascal language. Well, he was at the point of Pascal before Pascal we even knew what the potential of it was, but he knew it was the future. He talked about it. He even talked about what it could do. He moved away from it mentally, but the point is he was right there. He didn't get into cryptocurrency because he waited too long. He was at a point he had major cash. He waited too long to get into it. He's watching it, but he's kind of on the fence. Nobody that I would talk to has gotten into cryptocurrency. The messaging is roughly the same. They don't really know what it is that they're looking at. They don't know what it is what to expect of it, other than there's potential of something, profit or loss, which I tell them is no different than the stock market, if you think about it, as long as you stay away from the garbage that's out there. The garbage is simply benefiting from the price movements of the Bitcoin and Ethereum and other of the cores. Okay, so then anybody can make their own strategy and do what they're going to do, regardless of what I or anybody else says. I am simply responding to the narrative that bull market's here, it's here, we're here now. I will put my stuff here up on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey as a record so people can hold me accountable, because if Leicester gets it wrong, you can call me out on it. I'm saying to my eyes and my feeling, I don't think we're there yet. It feels like we got probably one more big crash, and I say big, but not crazy crash, before we get to where we should be. We should have been there before, until Gary Gensler started opening his mouth. Jerome Powell started killing the business. Elizabeth Warren started opening her trap. Joe Biden started killing people's American sentiment. So I think we should have been there by now. We should have been on the run Q4 of last year. We're not. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I think we're really close. But I think it feels like we're due for one more crash, one more good crash, because I've always said that it feels like the bottom, this current bottom for Bitcoin, is somewhere between $10,000 and $12,000. So I'm on record now. My video's up there. Let's put it as it is. As soon as I can get to the due place, whenever that is, I'll go back on video. But I put something up. I'll leave it up. It's fine. So people hold me accountable. Let's see. We'll see if I get it wrong. My statement in close: I think we're due one more crash. Not a problem. I still say we take for profits. We can still benefit from the pumps. We can still be enriched off the pumps. But I think we're due for one more crash before we get to where we should be, which is significantly higher than we're at now. And by my estimate, I think we can blow past the 60 some odd thousand we did before for Bitcoin. And if we do, everything's going to be super high value. Like, you think all the Ethereum stuff is going to be super high value. I think we will surpass where we ended up in 2021. I just don't think we're there yet. I think we need that crash to happen one more time, one more again, before we go on that run. That's how I feel about it. Let me know what you think.